to do some work on the Djuma Dam, and the cat is so big they can't drive down Vuyatela access, so they've had to come down the Buffelshoek cut line and now down the Gowrie cut line, because there are less trees. Now the leopards are just behind us. Dave and I have been standing by on Gowrie cut line just in case they slip off into the bush, so we're being very patient and waiting for those leopards. I'm quite excited to see the female. Mvula, you old stud, what have you found? Or who's found you is a better question, because of course female leopards are the ones who initiate a lot of... Oh, I lied, it's not a cat, it's a kamotsu. Not a caterpillar, a kamotsu. Hello, Mvula. It's very big, that bucket. I think it would crush poor Wendy if it had to sit on Wendy. There's lots of dust. Sorry. sorry. Don't cough into the microphone, Brent. So be prepared to watch. Back quickly across to Jamie and the leopards.
Well, true to leopard form, another very brief mating session. And Mvula has decided that he no longer wants to settle where he was before, and is searching for a more comfortable patch. He is, look, he's hungry. She's probably scratched him a few times, but he is looking stiff. You can see what I mean. He's not moving with a litheness that we associate with male leopards, and certainly not with the level of agility that when I last saw him, he possessed. I don't know if it's just because it's cold, perhaps a little bit of age and a little bit of repetitive motion when it comes to mating. Perhaps that has made life a bit more tricky. Brent, they're mobile towards you now. I might struggle to get through here. I'm going to try. There you go. You can see that fury. Sorry, we tried to get the branches out of the way, but that was over quicker than I thought it would be. Grrr. Yes, girl. Cross. Could see there that brief swat at his face. That was so funny. Did you see Mvula's response there? No, lady, not again. Not right now. He just gave her such an angry look. Teeth, yellow canines bared. And hello to James, and welcome on our sunrise safari. You want to know how many females the male cats mate with before they are finished? Oh, it depends on what you mean by finished. A male leopard or a male lion has a brief tenure where they are dominant and able to mate with a female in their area, and that, or the several females in their territory, because a male leopard's territory is larger than a female's. That means that a male leopard's territory could encompass 3 females, or even more so, in certain areas, 3 or 4 females. They'll come into estrus every couple of weeks until they fall pregnant, at which point they won't come back into estrus for another at least a year, up to a year and a half. So, sure, how many times? I mean, a male leopard mates about 500 times each time a female goes into estrus. And he'll mate with as many different females as he can encounter. We've got a case here of a dispersal male mating with a female, so he doesn't even have a territory. And what I'm trying to say, James, in a long and unintentionally convoluted way, is I have absolutely no idea. It depends on the individual leopard, it depends on the circumstances. You're probably looking at about 15 individuals that a male leopard will encounter and mate with. That would probably be the maximum in a high leopard density area. Mvula has mated with Xiluva, Karula, Itandi, or, I don't know, she's going again. Told you, leopards is very frequent. Oh, shame boy. Such a plaintive look. The sounds of a leopard mating pair are just incredible. And that's what I heard ages ago when I got out on the road and said to you there's tracks of there's tracks of something. But my brain was a bit slow on the uptake. It's just these gentle rumbling growls emanating from both of them. That's what I mean when I say they're terribly unimpressed with each other. But I suppose when mating is as discomforting as it is for both parties, we cannot expect them to be terribly enthusiastic. We're going to reposition and see if we can't get you a better view. We're almost at the road at this point. It's been a steady process in that direction. Poor Brent, he was waiting around. He's now since lost patience and moved off. Let's find out where he's going.
I didn't lose patience. I got moved by the final control. But on the exciting note, we're on our way to go check on those gorgeous little lion cubs. And I've just heard there are cheetah tracks crossing into Djuma. So we're going to check at the lion den, see if Mom's around. If Mom's not around, we'll have a quick look and then we'll leave. If Mom's around, we'll spend some time with those bundles of joy. And after that, I think we're going to go track a cheetah with Taxon. And I'm just going to get hold of Tax quickly on the radio. I just want to see exactly where those cheetah tracks are. Taxi, where do those Nkonzo cross cheetah cut lines, sorry? Copy, thanks. I'm near Buffelshoek. I'm just going to check the Ngala Kaya and then I'll come give you a hand. Okay, so the cheetah tracks are not too far from here, but let's not get too focused on cheetah when we're right where the lion cubs could be. So I'm just going to get Dave to come out wide and you can have a look how there's this very, very steep little drainage line. Oh, look there, Dave. African hawk eagle. Oh, isn't that stunning? Now, fortunately, those cubs are a bit big for an African hawk eagle to grab. I think because it's quite cold in the morning, those cubs are going to be piled on top of each other. So if Mom's here, we can spend some time with them. If she's not, we'll have a very quick look and then we'll move on. Okay, so we need to peer down into this little river system. Now, it is possible Mom might have moved the den because they're not where they were yesterday. And they could be right up against here where we can't see. But yesterday they were right in there. Now, Mom might have moved them. She does that. Well, they're not underneath here. So it looks like Mom's actually moved the cubs. And that's probably a good thing. So what lions do is... Have you got something? Oh, there they are. Hello, little bundles of joy. Mom is not here. So they've moved out of the drainage line. They're in the the fallen down knobthorn thicket. Hello, little guys. I can't see Mom, and they are in a very thick area, but nice to know she actually is still here. She probably will be moving them soon in the next couple of days because they have been here for over a week. Normally, lions don't tend to keep the same den site for more than 10 or so days. Now, the smell of regularly going to an area is what will give away their position. So to stop hyenas and other predators finding the cubs, they normally move them about once every 10 days. Oh, they are so cute. Oh, little yawn. Enjoying the sun. I'm quite sure they're going to crawl deeper into that little thicket as it gets warmer to get some shade. You hear a bird alarm calling his mom on her way back in behind us. Can you have a look for me there, Dave? No. Okay, well, as I said, we're not going to spend time while Mom's not here. We're going to leave those little bundles of joy to themselves. And hopefully Mom will be here this afternoon and we can spend a bit more time with them. Good spot there, Dave. I was so concentrated on looking down that I didn't look up.
Fantastic timing. Here we go. She didn't even turn around that time. She just looks a little bit angry. But she didn't even try to turn around and smack him. Now initially, when leopard mating first starts, the female turns around, she rakes at him with her back legs as soon as he moves to go off her. She kicks at him. There's a huge amount of aggression, and the noise is even more spectacular than the noises we are hearing now. But I'm just trying to calculate roughly in my head how many times they've mated since I first found them. And we're quite far away from that set of tracks, so they probably mated a couple of times before we found them, at least twice. They've mated probably about 10 times. She's going again. Oh, boy. Oh. It's just because you're good looking, Mvula. She can't help herself. Right, so that was within the space of about 1 minute and 30 seconds of each other. They've probably mated about 15 times since we first got here, because while you were with Brent they mated twice, very fast. That's a good point from Rachel. Now Rachel said, isn't Mvula's gene quality potentially weakened with age? And she says, no disrespect to Mvula, and of course all of us are incredibly fond of the great, not quite fallen king, clearly, since he's still managing to mate. Rachel says, is he not a bad choice? Not really. Yes, certainly there's a decline, an inevitable decline in fertility. There might be a decline, oh dear. Oh goodness, this is going to get tricky. She can't search for him, he's gone into hiding. At this point, I imagine he's considering witness protection programs to get him away. Okay guys, we better move, otherwise we are going to lose them. Rachel, I don't think he's a bad choice. It's the interesting thing, I mean, males versus females. Most male species stay fertile and virile until they reach the end of their lifespan. It's the females that go through the menopause. They've got a limited production of eggs in their lives. Is he still here? I'm just trying to see exactly where he is, because I don't want to drive on top of him if he is here. Is he somewhere in... Oh. Then Oh yes, there he is. Oh, sorry boy, I was about to come round you there. That's definitely not going to work. Oh, you picked a difficult spot. I think that might have been the intention. Okay, in that case Brian and myself will forge a different path around. It's going to be difficult. We've got quite a few trees in our way. I don't think Mvula's a bad choice, to be 100% honest with you. I think he's still... Look, 1 or 2, there might be a limit to his fertility. It might be reduced, but he'll still be fertile, and his genes will be absolutely fine, because you've got that constant production of sperm. It's not like the ovum, which is, as I said, limited in number. You're born with the number of eggs that you are going to produce within your life if you're a female mammal. I mean, of course, not every leopard mating is successful. Sorry, Brian, you okay there? Don't want to hit you with a leadwood. Just like couples trying for children often have to try repeatedly in order to fall pregnant. Okay, we're taking the long way around. Oh no. Oh dear, it's all gone very wrong.
I'm trying to limp homeward. Wendy is not behaving as well as an old vintage lady should. The clutch is slipping and the accelerator is sticking, which makes for quite interesting times. So we'll bumble on, and suddenly the accelerator will just go boom, and we go fast, then we go slowly. So we can have 2 vehicles out on the sunset safari. I'm going to start limping home, but I'm going to limp home past where the cheetah tracks watch. So we still got a chance of seeing that cheetah. If not, hopefully it'll be around this evening. I definitely think with the lack of water around, it's a very good idea to keep an eye on the Djuma dam cam during the day. Who knows? And it's a single cheetah. Maybe it's even a female. Oof, exciting stuff. But let's keep an eye out on the Djuma dam cam during the day. I'm going to meander in the area the tracks were going. The tracks haven't crossed Drakensberg Road, but they might, and hopefully they'll cross in front of us with a cheetah in the tracks. We can hope. Now, it would be a long time since we actually last saw a cheetah in Djuma. The last cheetah I saw in Djuma was actually on foot on my off afternoon with Nicola Austin, of all people. And we were having a chat, and this cheetah chased an impala past us on quarantine clearings. Very exciting afternoon that was. And that was a single male cheetah. I'm hoping this is a single female cheetah, and I'm hoping she decides to have cubs on quarantine. Now, as nice as that would be for us, it's probably not good for the cheetah due to our hyena, lion, and leopard densities around quarantine, and those cubs probably wouldn't survive too long. But I have yet to see a female cheetah since I've been in Safari Live. I've seen 3 different male cheetah, but no females. I've found female cheetah tracks, but never actually found the cheetah that makes those tracks. Oh dear. We're running. I can't control the car. No, I can. But it isn't healthy. So, as I said, we are... There we go. We've got some kudus here. Hello, little one. There's a young sub-adult kudu. Oh, and one lone impala who thinks he's a kudu. And to the right of the male there we go. Chilling. Look, it looked like he was following the kudu around. Now, it's not uncommon to get mixed antelope associations. And the more eyes there are, the better to spot the predator with, and the less odds you are going to be the one who's eaten. So if I was an antelope, I'd cozy up to any other baby antelope of another species, because they are the most likely to be eaten. Now, Brian, up until about 2 months ago, I would have said very, very rare and no, Brian, to do the antelopes interbreed. But now, in northern Botswana, for the first time ever, there is a, what are they calling it? A watchwee, which is a cross between a waterbuck and a lechwe. And it is in the Cylinder Reserve in northern Botswana. And this is the first recorded case, but they are both of the Cobus family, but it is the first case. Now, between an impala and a kudu, probably it would never really work. But between a kudu and a nyala, there is a possibility it might work. They are from the same family. But generally what happens when these, if it does happen, and it's very rare in the wild for it to happen, normally it happens when people put them in a closed space together. But if it does happen, the offspring, or the watchwee, or what would you call it, a kudu and a nyala combination, Dave? Nyadu. Nyadu or dunya. Generally that nyadu or duya or watchwee will be unable to produce offspring, so they will be barren. But it is possible, but the antelope have to be of the same family. So the same family, we've got bushbuck, inyala and kudu, but impala being on their own family, there wouldn't be any chance. Okay. Hi Lucy. Lucy's in South Bend, Indiana, and obviously one of our regulars. Always great to have you on the vehicle, Lucy. Lucy would like to know how the drought is going to affect the antelope births, and how many of them will survive. Oh, sorry, there's a very noisy radio. And you probably find a lot of them are going to expire. I'd say in the droughts, maybe only 10 or 15% will survive. And when it comes to the seasonal breeders like warthog, they're not an antelope though, but wildebeest and impala, it's going to be very difficult to say. So I think the birthing will probably happen, but whether the females are going to be able to lactate successfully, produce enough milk for the offspring, we're only going to be able to tell come November. And of course we might have rain before then, so it might be lush and wonderful, and the females that survive the drought will be able to produce much luscious milk for the new offspring. But as again, I think it's probably the best way to put it is, out here everything's not an exact science. Well, I suppose it is, but a lot of stuff we're guessing, and we can't really say for sure till it happens. So we're going to have to wait and see. With things like buffalo, you probably find they've got nearly a 90% mortality rate on calves at the moment because of the drought. And that's because they're bulk grazers, so they're not so picky, and because they live in big herds, they have to cover now big distance between water and food, and that's what's probably causing a lot of trouble for the youngsters. And as you can see, there's barely a blade of grass around. Okay, so we are limping home in hope of a cheetah. But while talking about one spotted cat, let's go to two that we actually have.
As surprise, surprise, Wendy's clutch has decided not to work anymore. Shame, poor Wendy's been giving us some considerable clutch trouble over the last week and a half. It's sad to hear that it has gone once again. Nevertheless, we have managed to reposition and rejoin our two leopards. At the moment, I can only see one leopard, although I'm sure Mvula is not too far off in that patch of bushes behind her. This is the only possible place that we can go for now. So if she does move, if she does go to mate with him, we won't really be able to get a good view at all. And that's just because there are so many trees. The road is tantalizingly close. A nice open area where we might be able to reposition at will. But for now, we remain in the block with the lovely Xiluva. Just in terms of size, because I think it's difficult for you guys to get a sense of scale. Ah, there we go. Hello, girl, with your beautiful eyes. Apparently, this coming through from Karen, Xiluva, this Xiluva, is the older sister to Nkanyeni. So not Nkanyeni's daughter, it is the older sister to Nkanyeni, or she is the older sister to Nkanyeni. Thank you, Karen. So we've got a little bit of a better idea as to how the leopard genetics are working here. And Brent does just want to talk to me on the Game Drive channel. Give me 1 second. Standing by. Copy. Let me know if you need help. Brent seems to think that he needs to pass that message on, that he might have to walk home if he doesn't take Wendy back right this second. So Wendy had best limp home as quickly as possible. We definitely don't want our poor crew having to stroll on back. That would be most tragic. Right, and back to our lovely Xiluva. Karen, thank you so much for that information. It is fascinating. What I was trying to say earlier was, in terms of size, it's very difficult for you all watching on the other side of the camera to get an idea. Although I think in comparison to Mvula, it might help you a little bit, because most of you have seen at least Karula mating with Mvula at some point or another. She's taller, ever so slightly. Karula, Shadow and Tundi come from a line of leopards that are quite short. Particularly, I've noticed, I feel it with Tundi. She's almost a mini leopard. She's terribly sweet, although she more than makes up with that with her spitfire attitude. She's a tiny leopard, though. The Nkanyeni family branch, I don't think she's not massive, Xiluva, but she is a little bit taller and a little bit lankier than Karula and Karula's female offspring. I'm not sure exactly where the connection lies, but there will be, as with all female leopards in an area like this, a degree of relatedness, but I'm talking in immediate family, so direct descendants, rather than cousins, first cousins, second cousins, and half siblings. She's beautiful, though. Her eye colour almost matches that of Mvula. I love Mvula's eye colour. There's a certain glow to it that is lovely to look at. Oh, girl, you're trying to find a nice, comfortable spot there. Now, I said that not every mating is successful, and it isn't. We've seen it before with Tingana. In fact, it even got to the point where some people were casting aspersions upon poor Tingana's ability to father cubs. There were accusations flying around that perhaps he might be sterile. He is not. It was just that not every leopard mating is successful. Natasha, hello and welcome, watching all the way in Ontario. I have absolutely no idea what the average success rate is for successful fertilization. So what I assume you mean by that is how often does a mating session, a full estrus session, result in a pregnancy? Natasha, if I had to guess, but it is entirely a guess, and it certainly will be different around the world, it will be different with individual leopards, it will be different in different areas. If I had to guess, I would put it somewhere at around 40 to 50%. It is a pure guess. And the reason I say that is you usually see female leopards mating about twice before they then fall pregnant. Oof, it is such a difficult one, though. That's a thumb-sucked percentage. I'll be completely honest with you. It's totally sucked out of my thumb. One thing I can do is have a look and see whether there's been any research into it. So while The wounded Wendy and its courageous crew limp their way back to camp. Let us head across to them so that they can describe in detail their journey to you all.
Ooh. You never know quite what Wendy's going to do. So as you're going along and you see a steep bank coming and you put your clutch in and you try to change gears, except the clutch doesn't catch. So you then attempt to climb said hill in third gear. And then the accelerator sticks, so once you get to the top, it suddenly you take off. Oh, like that. So we are going to try and get this sorted out by Opa as fast as possible. So we are limping straight back into camp. And I was actually quite worried that we might not make it all the way back to camp. I'm no mechanic, and so I do know a little bit about vehicles, and I know enough to say this is a problem that is above and beyond my skill set. So I'm going to take it to someone who has the skill set. I'm hoping, let me not jinx it, but I don't think they're major problems. I think it's probably a bit of tweaking of the master cylinder on the clutch, which is, we just put a new one in. And on the accelerator, with the amount of dust and gunk and stuff, there could just be a lot of stuff that's causing that accelerator cable to stick open. And that's what I'm hoping. Fingers crossed. Hi, Soraya and Dr. Rob in New Jersey. They'd like to know what I'd do if an elephant charged me and my vehicle wouldn't start. I'd have a very stern word with the elephant. I might use some very choice language. There's a wonderful Afrikaans word that all animals seem to understand. Voetsak, which is a very strong term, go away. And I think Afrikaans is a wonderful word to shout in because it's so descriptive. Voetsak! See, it's not voetsak, it's voetsak! That generally works with most animals. Elephants, probably a bit of hey, voetsak, 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 something like that. Generally stops the charge. Dave thinks that's quite funny. Now, and I have used bad language at an elephant before, but I've matured, and these days I try not to swear at the animals when they're charging. I tend to just give them a stern word. Oh, look at that! A family of Natal Franklins scurrying across the road after their morning forage on quarantine. They've done really well. So they had 5 chicks, and they've still got 4. And out in this part of the world, to get that many to that size is very impressive. Okay, let's see if the car makes it the last 100 meters. And it does have a mind of its own at the moment. So I think I'm going to go straight over the pit, and so Opar can have access to the underneath the inner workings of the Wendela. Unfortunately, we are very lucky to have Opar close by and on hand for such moments, because if it was left to us to fix the car, I don't think we'd ever go on game drive. There would only be a bushwalk. We are definitely not the best mechanics. So there we go. For those of you who've never been into the Djuma workshop, here we are. And there is Opar. Opar is of course also a great panel beater, and he's busy remaking a Djuma vehicle. But there you go. Say hello, Opar. Opar is going to help me try figure out what's wrong with this car at the moment. So from Dangerous Dave, the dish with the dimples, and myself, Brent, it's been fantastic. Great to have you on vehicle. Sorry about the angle grinder going in the background, but I'm hoping we can get this vehicle fixed as soon as possible so we'll be ready for the sunset safari in a few short hours. So toodles for now.
Brent will definitely be ready for the sunset safari because luckily we have Herbert on board. He will be able to walk with us, so never fear, even if poor old Wendy is not ready. We will have a walk out and about. Oh, goodness gracious! Ta-da! We have made it. There we go. We have our courting couple and other alliterative answers to it. A very reluctant Mvula and a very determined Xiluva. Hi, yours. Here we go once again. Oh. She decided they were too out in the open and that perhaps the protection of that bush would be better. Hello, gorgeous boy. And he's going to search once again for a spot of shade, making his way towards the road. Let's see if he keeps going or if he lies down once again. I think he's going to keep moving. I think he's going to come towards the road. Oh, maybe not. While Mvula sniffs the ground where Xiluva was lying a little bit earlier, James Richard, yes, because leopard mating is such a noisy affair, it absolutely attracts attention. Look at those teeth. You can judge a leopard's age from their teeth. He gave a little bit of a phlegm grimace there. It was a half-hearted one, but there was a phlegm grimace. But James, yes, absolutely. As they walk towards us, oh, extraordinary. Oh, well, as he walks past us, right past Eors's vehicle. Imagine being in that vehicle. It's the most awesome feeling in the world. Yes, the noise attracts attention, and yes, that is dangerous for them, as is their level of distraction. We saw Tingana and Karula have a very, being cutesy, a very narrow escape from the Tsalala pride when they were mating around Arathusa a good few months ago. And for Mvula it's even more dangerous because yes, absolutely it could attract Tingana's attention. We certainly hope that it doesn't. And sometimes what happens is with male leopards, they actually share the female. They don't even necessarily fight over her. But sometimes they do. And when they do, it can be vicious. Thank you. Xiluva. 2007, yeah. Perfect. There's two Xiluvas apparently. Perfect.
Mother is beacon female, father is Jordan.
Mother is beacon female, father is Jordan. Thank you, yours. You guys go ahead. Alright guys, we're going to let the others go through, in theory. Perhaps they can forge a path for us to get out of this block. We've been doing a lot of path forging. Let me try and move out of everybody's way. This is tricky. Usually we would go over to Brent, but since he is having an early morning, he's going to... we're going to try and do this all together. They're on Gari Cutline. This actually is going to be our last view. Oh no, and I've unplugged myself. Sorry, Kirst. I hope you weren't trying to speak to me because I wouldn't have heard you. Kirsty says she was ignoring me. She's very rude. I gave her mating leopards this morning. Okay. How do we feel about flat tires, everybody? Worth the risk? Worth the risk. Oh. Safari Dean is absolutely right. Opar is indeed the true hero of Safari Live, and this is why. Ooh. You okay there? Of Rusty's ability. We don't, as wonderful as Opar is, we don't need to test his skill anymore. We've had a great time with them. I can't go in there. Oh, there they are. Never mind, I'm an idiot. Can you see it there, Brian? There we go. We've got surprise last view, depending on whether or not they stay here. Oh yes, so we were talking about their noisiness and the potential to draw attention to themselves. Shamsun, I heard them mating at... What was I at? I was probably... How far do you think we drove? Maybe about 500 meters before we found them. So we first heard the mating at 500 meters. Now my hearing, whilst it is not terrible, is certainly not at the same level of a leopard or a lion. So probably, Shamsun, a leopard or a lion could hear this at 2 miles, even more so, so about 4 or 5 kilometers, if not more so. And Karula has been known to abandon whatever she is doing to follow up on the sounds of mating leopards inside her territory. And if Tingana is in the vicinity, things are going to change immensely for them. Let me just let the guys know that we've still got them, because they've now raced off in search of them. When Taxon does arrive, then it will be time for us to leave. Yours, I've still got visual, at least of them Fuzz. She's flat, still up on the other side of the drainage here. There's the male. No, there's a female. Copy, I'll keep you updated as Makulu block here. I can't visual about 0, 1 out of 5. There we go. Coming back. And we're going to mate again. We'll hear it, if not see it. He actually approached her that time, which was interesting, from what I could see briefly, in flashes of spots through the trees. Oh, and although you wouldn't have heard it, he just gave the most exhausted sigh. This is definitely something we will be following up on the sunset safari. I'm sure they will still be in the vicinity, and given the wide distance that the sound of mating leopards travel, we've got a very, very good chance of finding them again, even if we have to leave them in the next few moments. Definitely become a lot more tricky to see them. And Kathy's been thinking about the same scenario that I've been picturing, which is what would happen if Tingana came running in. We've got a couple of scenarios. One is that Mvula would just run straight. The other is that they would lie next to each other and growl at each other. The other is that they would both mate with the same female. And the reason I say that is because there have been several recorded sightings of 2 relatively dominant males that have reached not a truce, I wouldn't call it a truce, but an understanding and a standoff almost, a kind of a realization that they are equally matched. And what they'll do in that situation is, while might be unhappy about it, they'll actually take turns mating with a female. That's what I've never seen it, but I have heard about it. I think it must be the most extraordinary sighting to witness. I would suggest that what would happen there would be a great deal of noise, that Tingana and Mvula would lie just like Shimbambalana and Quarantine did not too long ago. They would lie a good couple of meters from each other, growl furiously, and one of them would eventually give in and move off, and that would probably be Mvula. But we don't know. I mean, it's very much a hypothetical. In this case, we know what I know from experience. Mostly I've seen when another male is interrupted, the one and only time I've seen that, the smaller male just ran away. But I don't know what would be the case here, because Mvula, even though he has been moving outside of his old territory, he's been pushed to become nomadic, he probably still has those dominant instincts within him. Would he fight, or would he give in? Absolutely no idea. She's up for another round, half-heartedly for both of them. And he's just growling at her for now. Now that's interesting. So Xiluva might be even older than expected. Karen, apparently you say 2005 makes her 11, but same age as Karula. I have to be honest, that was what I first heard and first thought when I saw her. I'd heard a rumor that there was another female of around Karula's age with a neighboring territory, but I wasn't certain enough in the information that I'd been given to put it forward. So 2005 makes absolute sense to me, and she really doesn't look like a young leopard at all. And Shamsan, where does she live? She lives around the northern tip, the northwestern tip of Karula's territory. So Karula extends throughout Djuma. She shares the boundary with Shadow. Xiluva goes to Sydney's Dam. The Sydney's Dam is the sort of boundary with Karula, and then up into the Manuleti and a great deal of Buffelshoek. I think that if we could question yours, he'd probably tell us that they see her relatively regularly around the Buffelshoek region. So that's essentially, for those of you for whom that is essentially Pig Latin, it is the territory to the north of Karula's territory, and they are roughly close to the same age. So welcome, meet Xiluva, the older sister of Nkanyeni, born in 2005 apparently. Yes, older sister of Nkanyeni, born in 2005, and her niece, Xiluva's older daughter, no, Nkanyeni's older daughter is also called Xiluva. There you go, clear as mud for all of you who wanted a little bit of an explanation and some clarity there. Definitely glad I could provide. We've just got two flicking tails at the moment, and that's pretty much the view that we have. Unfortunately, I think that sort of means the end of our sighting. I just want to get onto the Game Drive channel before we leave to make sure nobody else wants to come and find them, because their chances of spotting them without knowing where they are relatively slim. Yours, they're both flat for now. I'm trying to see if I can see a way in for you. Poor yours, he wants to come and see. Copy. They're still quite far from going into the drainage itself. I've got visual from where I am. Hold on, they seem to be up. Nope, she's just mating again. You're welcome to Tax. Sorry everybody, let's just make sure we stay here until Taxon and them get here so that they know where to go. You might not be able to see, but you can hear. Yeah, yours keep coming. He's now mobile to a bit more into the open. Coming straight towards you now. Awesome. Negative for now. Let's just see if he goes flatter. Keep coming, Tax, towards me. Where did he go? Is he still walking? Yes, he's still walking towards yours. Okay, all we're going to do is we're going to show Tax in and get a visual of him. Here, our Tax goes straight into the fire break. He's going to go down in there. There goes our female. Last view of the lovely Xiluva. And then we shall leave them be, because things have got very tricky. There we go. Let us not abandon hope just yet. I just want to make sure, because if they do cross into Buffelshoek, then my plan for finding them on the afternoon sunset safari will be scuppered. We will not be able to follow up there because we can't drive in that area. So before we go racing off, let's just make sure we establish the direction that they're going in. I think they're just looking for some shade. They might be looking for some food as well, though. I'm a little bit concerned about even Rusty's signal in this drainage system, though. Where does it look like the people are all looking? Oh, they're in the drainage system now. No, there's only space for 2 vehicles here. Cool. Oh, wait, up onto the drainage line. Where are you guys planning on going? She's going to lie down there on the drainage line wall. We have marvellous news in that wounded Wendy might not be so wounded, and you might be seeing Brenda once again before the end of the sunrise safari. But for now, we can keep you occupied because we actually have a relatively decent view. Do you think our signal's going to work down there, Brian?
We can try.
Should we try? Sorry, Kirst, we're going to give it a go. If we disappear from your screens, don't go away, everybody. I think this might be the easiest way of doing things for now. I don't want to go too deep in case we lose our signal completely. Now, Charlotte, with all of the up-and-coming leopards... Oh, shame. Poor Tax is trying to offer me a spot. No problem, Tax. I think we'll lose signal if we go into the Squabber. Right. Sorry, Charlotte. I didn't mean to interrupt my answer to you. So Charlotte's thinking about all of the up-and-coming leopards and was wondering if there's enough territory to go around, and whether or not the dominant leopards automatically make space. It's a balance that is struck, and it differs from place to place, Charlotte. So if there's lots of impala and it's a really idyllic place, then leopard territories just get smaller. But in the northern Sabi Sands, which is where we are, their territory sizes are much larger and relatively well established. So what will happen is, to be completely honest with you, a lot of our leopard characters are reaching not the end of their lives, but the end of their lifespans as a territorial leopard. We think Mvula's already pretty much got there. So he is going to be pretty much nomadic from here on out and just dodging the other leopard species, and that's what young males do as well. And there's only so many males that make it to the dominance age and successfully manage to establish themselves a territory. Females, it's sort of equally the case that the mothers will pass on bits of their territory will get smaller and smaller, but they also get older and older. And for Karula, she could live up to 18 years old, but she is 12 now, and chances are this could well be the last litter that she has before and even old female leopards often disperse and become nomadic. So that's how the leopard population deal with the sort of the conflict of territories, the conflict of areas. I have absolutely no idea where the other leopard has gone. I think there might be further into the drainage system. We'll stick with our view for now, as it might be the last. They're very, very close to our boundary, so there is a chance that we won't be able to follow up on the sunset safari. The one thing I'm going to do as soon as I finish drive is to tap into the bush telegraph and find out where Tingana is, or where he's suspected to be. Because even if they haven't found him this morning, they will have a rough idea as to last tracks. But this is close to the boundary of Tingana's territory, this Buffels or Cutline area. Oh, I see a tail in the sand. I don't even think Brian will be able to see it from where he is. There, down. Can you see it from that angle, Brian? The only indication that there's a leopard there. The flick of their ever-moving tails. Cool. What a exciting way. It's been a long time since we've seen mating leopards, and when I heard that Mvula was mating close to Sydney's dam, I didn't begin to dare hope that he would potentially bring her here. Marvellous to meet a new leopard, and also wonderful to have mating leopards once again. They came as a bit of a surprise. Hey Brian, we accomplished what we set out to do. We got the static sighting, so we didn't have to drive anywhere, or at least not far, in the chilly morning air. And now the sun is right up, and that's actually why they've slowed down, by the way, in terms of their mating. They go through those bursts of activity, but now that it gets warmer and warmer, they're going to be quite content to settle in the shade and catnap for the rest of the day. Also better be careful because there are lots of lions around. My mistake, the Wounded Wendy saga continues. Wounded Wendy might not be out. Wounded Wendy and her courageous crew might not be out by the end of the sunrise safari, in which case, guys, I'm going to take this opportunity for us to love and leave the leopards and to carry on and move off in search of something else. Unless Kirsty in the next 2 seconds gives me a very strict command to stay, in which case I will, of course, naturally obey. Kirsty says as long as I go find some Elies. Standing by. That's affirmative. They are static for now in the drainage line just to the east of Gari Cut Line, right? Best approach is in the fire break itself. I'm leaving the sighting now with a tax on yours. That's affirmative. You should be able to make your way. If you come along Gari Cut Line, come towards Gari Cut Line and towards Buffels of Cut Line, but on the fire break, on the eastern side of that road, you'll see tax on yours. Okie dokie, let's go find some elephants, folks. Marvellous mating leopards. We're giving other people a chance to go in. Bernie's on his way. So we shall move off and see what else we can find. Rusty's creaking along gently, having just been quite actively moving through the trees and the bushes of the area. She seems to be just fine though. Well done, Rusty. Okie dokie. Bear with me one moment. I think I am too warm. I need to take off a jacket, which means taking off an earpiece as well at the same time. So at this point, I won't be able to hear any questions or updates just yet. There we go. Pretty much. Whoopsie. We very briefly nearly went off the road there. Oh, that time we did. There we go. All is sorted. And we are on the search for the elephants. Let's just see if Brent's still around in the game drive comms. Brent. He's ignoring me. Not listening. Ah, there we go. You made it. Brent, where did you leave those in Glove? Copy, thanks. There you go. Just getting an update about where Brent left his herd of elephants this morning. They're just around the corner, which is exactly what I thought and exactly what I was hoping for. The suspense was killing me, waiting to find out if wounded Wendy would make her way back out again. But Opa, once again, as Safari Dean says, proving to be the true hero of the operation. Opa has fixed Wendy. She's back up and running. Let's find out what they're going to do for the last part of their drive.
So we are back. Yay! Well, now, at least my diagnosis was correct. It was the slave cylinder on the clutch that was giving those problems. Now what happens, there's actually supposed to be a spring on our clutch, and for some reason there is none, and I don't know where it's gone. So what happens if you push the clutch all the way in, it pulls the slave cylinder all the way out, and that's what happens, and that's why we're missing. So now I've got to half push the clutch in, and this is just to get us through for the last bit of drive. Then Opa is going to fashion a spring and to put it in there. So fortunately, much better. And the accelerator cable was exactly what I thought it was. It was a build-up of dust and gunk that was causing the accelerator cable to stick. So we just sprayed a bit of WD-40 on it, and that was right as rain. As I said, I know a little bit about car maintenance, so I can often diagnose the problem, but ask me to fix it is a different story. So guys, I know I've been off the radio for a while, so which female leopard was Mvula mating with? I'd love to know, so if anyone does know, So this was Xiluva, the 2005 Xiluva. So I would really like to know a bit more about her. I don't know about her, I only know about the younger Xiluva. Who was her mom, where is she from? So if you guys have any of that info, please send it through to me. Questions at WildEarthTV or hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Now that is fascinating. So I don't know, I'm speculating. I'm sure some of you might know a bit more about Xiluva than I do. Now this is going to be very confusing. We've got two Xiluvas. So we can probably, what do you think we should do? We can call it 2005, so she's quite old. We've got, I'm trying to think, I don't know, how would you decide between the two Xiluvas? They've got the same name. Is Xiluva old and Xiluva new? But that's a bit boring. We can do a bit better than that. Well, I will have to think about it. But again, any information would be wonderful. Hi, a Penny Pine. A Penny Pine's wondering, where did the original game safaris? Oh, they're lion tracks here. Going straight up the road. We'll follow them for a while. Penny Pine's wondering, did the original game safari start in Kenya? Yes, but the sort of original off-road crashing and like we have in the Sabi Sands was actually started in the Sabi Sands. private reserve. Was originally Sabi Sands. So the safari industry started in Kenya as an offshoot of the original Kenyan hunting industry. So while the men were out shooting, the ladies would go on safari, and then it turned out that some men didn't want to shoot everything. Very confusing. Okay. Just making sure the lions didn't go down this big path. They didn't. And so that's how it originally started. So while the men were out hunting, the ladies would be taken around by generally a junior professional hunter as their guide and take them to see the animals rather than shoot them. And that is how the beginning of the sort of safari business in Kenya started. But in terms of private land and lodges, the first place to operate like we operate on a daily basis was just to the south of us, or the southeast of us, and it was Mala Mala. Shortly after Mala Mala came Londolozi, and then Sabi Sabi. Those are the three sort of originals, the sort of oldest, longest standing of the commercial safari lodges in the Sabi Sands. Now, of course, there are lots and lots of them. I wonder where that line went. The tracks of a single male lion that I saw, but there's been quite a few cars and a tractor even on this road already this morning, so they might have continued straight down, or they might have ducked off to the west. I haven't seen any tracks going off to the east. Thanks very much, Karen, who's given me a little bit more information on Xiluva 2005. Born to the Beacon female, who was the dominant female in Buffelshoek for many years. And she's the older sister of Nkanyeni. Oh, she must be a beautiful leopard. That Beacon female's lineage is very good looking. So I think she probably holds most of her territory in the southern Manyeleti, and because she is mating is the reason she has moved down onto Djuma. So, as I'm sure Jamie said, it's not uncommon for female leopards to move well out of their territory while mating. Well, I try to figure out where these lions have gone. Let's go across to Jamie, who's with some elephants that Dave and I limped past a little earlier.
There we go. We have found the elephants that Kirsty put in a request for, admittedly in a very dense spike thorn thicket around a vulture's nest. Luckily for us, I spy one on the edge of the road, and we might be able to sidle up a bit closer and get a good view of it. There you go. A shape of grey. Oh, we might not need to. Hello, little one. Now, although we can't see them, we do know that we are absolutely surrounded by elephants at this point. I can hear them in a sort of a 180-degree angle. In fact, more than that, 270 all around me. Just enjoying an early morning feed. Let us try and find a good position to watch them. We have just been with our leopards producing the next generation of little leopard cubs. And of course, we've got such a contrast here between the mothering of the elephant calves, like this one, and the mothering of little leopard cubs. Now, although the maternal bond in both cases is phenomenally strong, the elephants will suckle from their mother for up to 3 years before they are fully weaned. Now, Annie, you were wondering if perhaps the length of time that they take to use their trunk, or to learn how to use their trunk, perhaps has something to do with the time at which, the incredible length of time it takes them to be weaned. There could well be a connection. I think that their digestive, I think it has to do with a couple of things. I think that the social structure of elephants has allowed that lengthy maternal care that is presented to all elephant offspring. I think that the herd structure has sort of permitted for that, whereas a solitary animal like a leopard, for example, might have to wean her cubs sooner. Lions, of course, are a good contrast because they are social, but they have to hunt. They have to be able to leave their cubs and go out hunting, and lactating does take a great deal of resource away from the body. I think the fact that they are herbivores makes a big difference because they can have access to resources easily. To sustain sense. We do have a tiny little baby. Make sure we don't scare anybody here. Hello guys. Don't worry. Don't worry. There we go. Thank you very much. We come sit next to you. There we go, to illustrate the point being made about elephant baby learning to use its trunk. Also, sometimes coordination takes a little while. That includes navigating the obstacles in one's path. But I will say that the most entertaining thing about baby elephants is to watch them learn to use their trunk. That lack of coordination is hilarious. Guys, those of you who experienced our dip in the stream, we do apologize. It's something we're aware of and working on, but we seem to be back up and running once again, and so all is well with the world. And we've got elephants snacking on the weeping wattle tree, making short work of that particular branch. Definitely one of the best mornings. The African bush always provides surprises out here. Not the way I was expecting the day to go, but I'm very happy with it. The little one's sleeping now. You're having a rest in the shade of the Peltiforum. Up we get. Oh, shame. Little one, that wasn't a very long nap. Perhaps interrupted by Mom. You've got to be careful where you pick your shade if you're a napping baby elephant, because there is a chance that the rest of the adults of the herd are going to come and want to munch on your shade tree. Look at what she's doing. She's busy stripping away the bark from the branch itself, basically like a conveyor belt. It goes in whole and comes out minus bark on the other side. As she twirls it. Oh, there we go, we're getting to the end now. Is she going to eat the leaves as well? Looks like it. The end branches, I think, are going to get completely crunched. So what she's doing there was she was after the cambium layer, but as she gets to the finer branches, there's a bit more in the way of... Nope, she's actually rejected them completely. Right, here we go, repeated process. A totally intact branch going in one side of the mouth and slowly being crunched out on the other as her molars strip away the cambium layer. Unfortunately, not within our view, and taking little one with them. Shame. I always feel a bit sorry for the little elephant calves when they walk behind the adults and they get smacked in the face by the branches that the adults don't see as obstacles, but the little ones don't necessarily appreciate. And all the time, our young elephant bull that we pulled up next to, oh cute little one, has been thinking about coming to give us nonsense. However, he has decided that actually he's a little bit terrified of us and that perhaps it would be more sensible in order to go and catch up with the rest of the herd. And I think this might be our last view of them for now. Not a bad way to spend one's day. I'm going to try a little reposition. We've only got a few short minutes left of the sunrise safari, but let us see if we can't fill those short minutes with elephants on your screen for the last moments. Perhaps we will find a suitable corner to loop around. Let us try. I don't think we're going to be lucky. Oh, yes we are, there's a bottom. There's several bottoms. It's a huge herd of elephants. Oh, there we go. We don't have to. We can look at elephants. Oh, we can look at an elephant with a collar. That looks like a collar sticking up behind her head there. Similar to the one that one, yeah. Similar to the one that Sindile wears at this point. There, if you look really closely, you'll see it poking up over the top of her shoulder blades. That is a radio collar that can be used, probably sends out GPS coordinates of her position, or else can be used in terms of radio frequency tracking using telemetry for research purposes mainly. It's questionable whether or not that, well, it may well still be active, and it will be for one of the various research organizations around here that study these magnificent creatures. There's probably about, I would guess and say, about 70 elephants here. We just can't see most of them because it's a very thick block. But everywhere I turn, another elephant shape ghosts across behind the trees. And they really are the grey ghosts of the African bush. Beautiful girl. Alright guys, we have come to the end of our sunrise safari. I hope you have all enjoyed it as much as I have. A big thank you to Brian, and a big thank you for Brian's 6 weeks of very hard work. We will miss you and we look forward to your return. And a big thank you, the same message applies to Kirsty in Final Control. We will very much miss having your voice in our ears, so thank you for that. Most importantly though, thank you to all of you, and thanks to the thumb as well. By the way, I thought the thumb yesterday was one of the best versions of the thumb ever. Thank you to all of you. I hope you enjoyed it. We will catch up again in a few short hours for the Sunset Safari. Bye-bye, everybody.
Dave and I are still trying to figure out where this male lion went. There's no tracks of him crossing through on to Arathusa or Sibambili, so we're pretty confident he's around here somewhere towards the gate. But I think this might be a mystery that's going to have to be solved on the Sunset Safari. As I don't think we're going to have enough time to find the male lion unless we spot him sleeping under a glory bush in the last few seconds of drive. But how exciting has it been that you have, well, definitely a new leopard for all of the current Safari Live crew. We've never seen 2005 version of Xiluva. Quite strange that she's got two daughters by the same name. Xiluva 2005, Xiluva 2015. But from Dangerous Dave and myself, Dangerous Dave the Dish and myself, it's been wonderful having. Thanks for putting up with our vehicle problems, but all sorted, and see you in a few short hours for the Sunset Safari.